Hey folks, Keric the Pally here, and welcome back to the second part in this run through of Broken Sword Shadow of the Templars. Last time we had some information about going to the hotel, which we now have as a place we can go, so we may as well go there and meet one of my favourite NPCs in the entire game. These two idiots outside the hotel will take a certain item off you as you leave the hotel. I might just show that now. Just head back out the door again. They should stop me and try and search me. And there you go.
Just a minute, monsieur.
What's your problem?
No problem, if you cooperate.
What do you want?
Just a routine security check, nothing to worry yourself about.
Oh, well, all right.
Search him, Flap.
You bet!
Hey, knock it off. Get off, you big ape.
Nothing, Guido. Zilch!
Our apologies, monsieur.
What? I had to report you to the authorities.
Round here, we are the authorities.
You want I should break his arms?
No. Let him go, Flap.
So basically, if you try to leave the hotel with a certain item, they'll take it off you. So you need to make preparations for that before you leave. This lady, just to my right, in the purple, playing the piano, is one of the best NPCs I've ever seen. We'll catch up with her very shortly. First things first though, we need to work out which room the tailor was talking about. He gave us directions because he couldn't remember the room number basically. So up the stairs, and it's the second room on the right here. Have a quick look at the door number.
The door was locked.
No shit, Sherlock.
The sign on the door read 22. If the tailor's description was correct, this was the killer's room. The sign on the door read 21.
It's worth checking out the number and the one beside it. And back down we go. There are some keys here, so we need to
Hanging
quickly
from a
check.
brass hook was a key and a plastic tag.
I think that way we get the chat icon with this guy. Little Mincer, if ever there was one.
I want some information.
Who are you? The police?
I'm conducting a private investigation.
Ah, I know only too well what you mean. That is one of the drawbacks of the catering business. When people book into an hotel, they leave their morals at home, no?
So we just need to ask him about the key.
About the
Can get
key
mouse
hanging
over
on
it.
the hook over there.
Oui, monsieur.
Which room is it for?
Number 21.
Is that room taken?
No. The guests checked out this morning.
And again.
I'd like to check into room 21.
That is not possible.
How come? You said it was vacant.
It is reserved for another guest.
Rats.
No, monsieur. Dutch.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Yes, monsieur. That man is one of our guests.
What name?
I cannot tell you that.
Can you tell me which room the man in the photograph has taken?
Oh no, monsieur. That information is confidential.
Do you have a guest by the name of Khan?
No, monsieur. Perhaps you would care to check the register.
The man who calls himself Khan has a scar on his left cheek.
Vraiment? I tell you, I do not know a man named Khan.
Maybe not, but I'd noticed a change in his expression when I mentioned the scar.
So there you have it, folks. If Khan is staying here, he's under a false name. So we need to find that out, really.
Would it make a difference if I told you the guy in the photo was a murderer?
We are accustomed to catering for celebrities, monsieur. Movie stars, politicians, royalty, sporting personalities, they all stay here.
Did I show you this photograph?
Yes, you did, monsieur.
Okay, so we're getting nowhere fast with that. Just leave the little
Thanks for your
bugger.
help, buddy.
Pretty sure there was some information about Khan being like a war criminal.
Excuse me, didn't I see your picture in the news? You're that Nobel Prize winner from some unpronounceable Eastern European state.
Yes, that is me, in person.
I don't want to worry you, but have you had any threats on your life? You know, mysterious phone calls, letters made up of headlines cut from the newspaper.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you recognize this man? He calls himself Khan.
Yes, I know this man. Why do you carry his photograph?
I'm a private detective.
And
This
asking
is a
about it
photo of
again.
Khan, right?
That is just one of the names by which he is known.
This is a photo of Khan, right?
That is just one of the names by which he is known.
Thanks for your help.
Goodbye.
Now listen carefully to this next lady. She is fucking hilarious.
Hi there, ma'am.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
I'm looking for a man.
You disappoint me, my dear. For one foolish moment I thought... But never mind. Aren't you going to tell me your name?
George Stobart, ma'am.
How sweet! I once had a stable boy called George. I am Lady Piermont. The common reaction is to kneel and stutter, but it's not obligatory.
A real lady? I mean, you're an honest-to-God aristocrat?
Oh, I don't know about that. Few of my ancestors are honest, not even to God. I can trace my family back to the Normans, but don't let that intimidate you, George. Beneath that impressive pedigree, I'm just flesh and blood. The blood may be blue, but the flesh is the plump beef of old England, so to speak. You appear distracted, George. Is there any way I can help you?
Randy old goat that she is.
Are you here in Paris on vacation?
No, darling, I'm on holiday. I needed to get away after Algy's funeral.
I didn't realize you were mourning the loss of a loved one.
I'm not. He was my husband.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
to
it gets
hear about
better
your
as well.
husband's death.
You wouldn't be if you knew him, my dear. It gave me the opportunity to take a well-deserved holiday. Daphne suggested a change of scenery. Paris, she said. A wild romance is just what you need to take your mind off the inquest. Well, the closest I came to romance was being wooed by a drunken Breton chef. I must say I was disappointed with his cocktail bar. Not at all what I was expecting. I was thinking of cutting my holiday short, packing my bags and heading back to Hemel Hempstead. That was until last night.
What happened to you last night?
I was stricken, Mr. Stobart. Cupid's arrow has cleft my bosom.
They couldn't really miss.
It was just as I'd always imagined it should be. The intimacy of candlelight, romantic music tinkling across the room. And then, a stranger's glance. Those brooding eyes, that suave manner, those tight trousers. He was the man I'd been waiting for all my life.
I'm glad he finally turned up after all these years.
Ah, but it wasn't to be. He was merely toying with my affections. And if I ever catch up with him, he's dead.
Who was the guy who led you on?
His name is Merlin.
Okay, so
Do you
show her this
recognize the man
picture.
in this photograph?
My God, it's him! That's Merlin!
She represented everything I loved about the English. The lady was totally deranged. Merlin? You mean King Arthur's wizard?
Good heavens, no! Monsieur Merlin is a fellow guest. He's the man I've been telling you about. That's the man who spurned me.
Oh,
Did I show you this photograph?
Yes, darling.
ask her about Khan.
The man you know as Merlin is a fake.
What do you mean, sweetie?
He's a murderer. He also uses the name Khan.
I am shocked, Mr. Stobart. Shaken. I took him to be a gentleman, a man of honor. Do you know, I'd rather like to assist you in stitching him up.
And this is why we need her.
When did you last see Merlin?
It was no more than an hour ago. He came downstairs and spoke to that clerk chappie. Something passed hands. I couldn't see what exactly.
A briefcase?
No, smaller than that. A bundle of papers, perhaps. The clerk put it in the hotel safe and Merlin went out.
Would you distract the clerk while I borrow a key?
Are you asking me to aid you in a criminal act, darling?
Oh no! It's the key to an empty room.
And why, may I ask, do you wish to gain access to an empty room? Do you plan to squat?
No, ma'am.
Scouts honor?
I was never in the Boy Scouts, ma'am.
Oh, you should have been. What were your parents thinking of? It's a fine way for a boy to get licked into shape. Now tell me, why do you want to get into that room?
It's next to the room the killer is using.
Ah, so you plan to eavesdrop on Merlin?
I was hoping there might be a connecting door.
I shouldn't think my feminine charms would be much use in this case. But a good dose of English arrogance might do the trick.
And here we go. She set sail for the desk.
I say! You there? Flunky!
Oui, madame.
Listen carefully. You do understand English, don't you?
But of course, madame.
Good. I wish to deposit some jewellery for safekeeping.
I understand.
Are you quite certain?
Oh, bien sûr, madame.
And off he minces.
Over to you, my dear.
Well, we grab the key. And get the mouse over the bloody thing. There we go.
Hello again.
Not sure why I went back to this guy in all honesty, but...
Do you recognize this key?
No, I do not.
This is a photo of...
That is just...
Yeah, we know.
Have you seen the clown?
My pants, marks, and they are a pleasure and a comfort to wear, with much support.
I'm real glad to hear that. You know, it's good to know you Nobel Prize winners are human too.
In my country, the people make do with string and egg cartoons.
For pants?
For everything. Oppression is the mother of ingenuity.
Do you know a guy called Plantow?
I don't know anybody in Paris.
Oh, well, this guy's dead anyhow.
Why do you ask me about dead men? I have seen enough of death to last me a lifetime.
I'm, sure you have. What does this clown's nose suggest to you?
In my country, we have no use for clowns.
I'm glad to hear it.
They were dealt with most severely in the last cultural cleansing.
What about the mimes? Did you get them too?
All gone. Our streets are mime-free.
Sounds like heaven. This...
That is just...
Oh, I don't know why I keep clicking that stupid thing. Oh yeah, this is the thing
What's
I want.
your interest in Khan?
He is an enemy of my people.
You know he's a killer.
Of course, amongst other things.
Would you help me investigate Khan?
That is not possible. My instructions are to observe. I cannot jeopardize my position as an honored guest of this country's government.
Anyway,
Thanks
we're
for
done
your
with
help.
him, so let's get out of here.
Goodbye.
Go upstairs and use the key. The game kind of pokes fun at just about everybody. So if you see something that you don't like, you kind of got to live with it. There's a whole section in Ireland where the voice acting is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, it even winds me up at one point, but that's the way of the game,
Maybe it wasn't
unfortunately.
the right room, but this was the right key.
They take the piss of the French, the German, the Irish, the British, even Syrians at one point, I think. Okay, not much to do in this room anyway, so just open the window and climb out onto the ledge. Go. Worth remembering that this alleyway is the one behind the hotel. You'll need that later. And in the other window, to Khan's room. Every time I say that, I keep flipping thinking of Star Trek.
The door led back into...
Okay, so open up his wardrobe. Have a quick nosy in his pants, see if there's anything exciting there. I doubt it
There
though.
was nothing in the pockets of the pants.
And there you go. And then if we go out the door, which is locked, strangely. The hotel has strange doors. Shock horror! He's coming back, where do we go?
I had the kind of feeling in my stomach that would usually send me running to the bathroom.
George uses that phrase pretty much every time he sees Khan and just changes the bit after I had the kind of feeling. So keep an eye out for it later in the game. Those trousers are absolutely shocking. Don't know what George is looking at. In the director's cut of the game, he actually makes a comment about not making a habit of watching men change. Unfortunately, the director's cut was a bit too long-winded. I prefer this version.
The pants matched the jacket which the killer had lost in Paris.
Okay, so let's have a look through the pockets.
I couldn't believe my luck when I found 2 items in the pockets of the pants. The first was an ordinary matchbook. No matches, no clues. The second was a pass card which read, Thomas Merlin, Gruber Electronics Corporation.
And check out the briefcase beside the bed.
I searched the interior of the briefcase, But, as I'd half expected, it was empty.
Okay, so whatever he gave to the clerk downstairs, we really want to check that out at this point. I love how the doors work in this hotel. They seem to open and lock of their own accord, depending on which side of the door you happen to be on.
What now, monsieur?
So ask him about the safe.
I'd like to retrieve something from your safe.
Ah, oui, monsieur. May I see some form of identification?
Like what?
A driving license, perhaps?
I don't drive.
Your passport?
I don't have it with me. I could show you my operation scar.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I must have some form of unique ID.
You won't find a more unique ID than my scar.
I'm sorry. I must insist on a more traditional identification.
Rats.
So we show him the pass card.
Does this pass mean anything to you?
That is Monsieur Merlin's property.
That's right. Merlin the murderer. I want to see what he's left in your safe.
Impossible. I cannot betray his confidence, no matter what you say he's done.
You're making a big mistake.
Maybe. I can live with that.
Thanks for your help, buddy. Hello again. Do you recognize this card?
No, I do not.
Does the name on this matchbook mean anything to you?
Indeed it does, for Alamut was the home of the old man of the mountains. You do not know him?
No, I don't. Tell me again about Alamut.
It is the home of the old man of the mountains.
Tell me again about Alamut.
It is
Sorry about the repetition, sometimes it's worth
Thanks
checking
for
out
your
things a
help.
couple of times in case it
Goodbye.
gives you a new option. Unfortunately in this case it didn't. So it's time to go back to our old friend. The old Batlax.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello, George. What can I do for you now?
I found this pass in Merlin's room.
So, that deceitful little man is passing himself off as an electrician, is he?
Uh-huh. This guy probably has a million faces. I showed the pass to the clerk, hoping he'd give me Merlin's papers. But he wouldn't buy it. He's too scared.
I'll give him something to be scared of. Follow me, George!
I love this fucking woman. And off she sashays again.
Did you place a package from Merlin in the hotel safe?
I did, madame.
And did my friend here show you Merlin's identification?
Indeed he did, but
What's the problem?
he isn't Merlin.
A mere academic detail. Give him the package.
But that is against the law.
I happen to be a justice of the peace, you silly man. I am the law. If he tries anything, shoot him, George.
My pleasure, Lady Piermont.
One moment, please.
You can tell why she's my favourite in the game.
You know, I haven't enjoyed myself this much since Greenham Common.
I don't know what I would have done without you, Lady Piermont.
Voilà, monsieur. Le manuscrit de Monsieur Merlin.
Thanks.
How satisfying. An Anglo-American alliance that actually worked.
The clerk had given me a tightly rolled sheet of parchment. I decided not to unroll it until I was safely back in Nico's apartment.
The parchment is actually the item that Guido and Flap will take off you if you leave the hotel, so we need to throw it out the window basically. Keep it safe out of their hands. You will bear in mind I unlocked this door earlier. So it's kind of surprising that.
The door was locked.
I told you these doors had a mind of their own. Anyway, we still have the key, so let's make use of that and open the door. I think they have some kind of a thing where the door always opens from the inside, but you need the key from the outside. Rather weird. Anyway, out onto the ledge we go again. And basically we need to throw the parchment down onto the ground so that they can't get a hold of it when they search us. There we go.
I knew this was no way to treat an ancient manuscript, but I couldn't let it fall into the hands of the goons waiting outside.
And with the parchment safely on the ground, we can make our way back out of the hotel. So yeah, I think the game manages to get away with its sort of vague racism by doing it to just about everybody in the world. Just keeps it a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. Hello, wait till you get to Ireland. I'm sure it'll piss me off. Okay, so these two goons are going to give us a quick frisk.
Hold it right there. Search him again, Flap.
Nothing, Guido.
Okay, let him go.
Not that I mind a little short fat Italian giving me a bit of a frisk, but you know, it would be nice if he bought me dinner first. I mean, come on. Okay, so anyway, round the back of the hotel, we pick up the manuscript.
If the manuscript was what Flap and Guido were after, they were going to be disappointed. I couldn't wait to get back to Nico's apartment and check it out.
And that's where we go now.
You're just not going to believe what I've found.
It's not another part of the clown's costume, is it?
Oh no, better than that.
It's a medieval manuscript. Khan left it in the safe at the Ubu.
It's incredible. Is this what he took from Plantark?
It could be, which means it's worth enough to kill for.
Look there, two guys on the same horse.
Oh yeah, maybe they couldn't afford one each. What of it?
Have you ever heard of the Knights Templar? Their official seal was an image of two knights sharing a horse.
Little cutscene to come.
Whatever this manuscript means, it's connected with the Templars.
How come you know about these knights?
I learned about them while writing an article on the Crusades. This guy, named Hughes de Payen, arrived one day at the court of King of Jerusalem. He offered to protect the Christian pilgrims from the displaced Muslim armies. The king would be able to guarantee safe transit to Christians in the Holy Land. Safer journeys meant more pilgrims, and pilgrims meant trade and wealth. The Templars proved invaluable to the king as a mercenary army. It was said that they never asked how many the enemy numbered, just where they were. And as the years went by, the Templars grew in wealth and numbers. They were so rich, even kings came to them for loans. But at the height of their power, they fell foul of the King of France. He rounded them up and turned them over to the Inquisition. Thousands of Templars were subject to torture and confessed to heresy. Of course, at the hands of the Inquisition, there wasn't much they wouldn't confess to. The last Grand Master Jacques de Molay was burned alive. But the treasure of the Knights Templar was never found.
So there you have it, short history of the Knights.
So the treasure is hidden, waiting to be discovered?
If there ever was a treasure, it's been lost for 600 years. Anyway, we're supposed to be investigating a serial killer, not a medieval treasure trove.
But maybe that's what the clown and his accomplices are after. Maybe this manuscript is the key.
You'd better leave it here for safekeeping. Think about it, George. One guy's already died for it, as you said yourself. Besides, that parchment is fragile.
Okay, I'm convinced. You keep hold of it.
Let's ask her about a couple of
I
things now.
found this matchbook in the killer's hotel room. It's from the Club Alamut.
Never heard of it. Is there anything written inside it?
No, what were you expecting?
If this was a movie, there'd be a clue, a name or an address. That's no use. There aren't even any matches in it.
Oh well, I'll keep it as a souvenir. Did I show you this match?
Huh?
Okay, obviously that's not
I
going to do
found-
anything.
What is it? A credit card?
ID, Thomas Merlin, of the Gruber Electronics Corporation.
Never heard of him or the company.
Let's
have a
take
quick
another
look at
look
this
at the
again.
manuscript.
Let's face it, we need help, George. Someone who knows about these things.
Who do you suggest? Indiana Jones?
I know a guy who specializes in medieval studies. His name is Lobino.
Huh. Some stuffy old fossil who gets horny over ancient relics, I suppose.
Far from it. Andre isn't the stereotypical professor you have in mind.
Where can I find this Lobino guy?
At the Kroon Museum. I'll give you the address.
Maybe
And
I'll
there we
check
go.
out the Kroon Museum.
I'm sure you'll find it useful, George.
I didn't actually go through the 4 images on the parchment. Unfortunately, with this emulator, they're not exactly easy to see. Director's Cut on PC does have it a lot clearer, but unfortunately Fraps wouldn't record it, so I'm kind of limited. One of the things on it is a tripod, which we'll see in here. Just so you know why George gets excited over it. Let's have a little look at the tripod first.
In the case was a spindly tripod, blackened with age and pitted with rust. It was identical to the tripod pictured on the manuscript. A notice identified it as 15th century from Western Ireland. It had been found in Loch Marn at the site of a Knights Templar preceptory. Ireland!
What's that?
This tripod was found in Ireland.
I will have to ask you to keep your voice down.
I'm sorry, I was excited.
See if there's anything else worth looking at.
Watch out! You will have that done on top of us!
Most of this stuff is junk, really, at the moment.
Touching an object as rare and beautiful as that would have been the act of a barbarian. It was a tapestry of a lady, a lion, and a unicorn. If I'd had more time, I could have stared at it all day.
I'm just kind of having a quick nosy around the exhibits in case there's anything. Pretty sure there isn't, but worth a check.
I looked down at a collection of tools with wood. There were knives, chisels, and spikes. I guess there's always been a need for home
Nope.
improvement.
Nothing exciting there at all, so let's have a quick chat with this little bugger.
Pardon me,
Oui, monsieur?
are you Lobino?
Oh, no.
Fancy you mistaking me for him. No, I am the deputy custodian.
But Labano does work here.
Work? I wouldn't go so far as to call it that. He studies here most days, but as you can see for yourself, not today.
Okay, so ask him about the tripod.
Can you give me any further information about the tripod?
Certainly, monsieur. It's infamous. That tripod, that belonged to John D.
As opposed to Jack D.
Do you know anything about the Knights of the Temple?
No, sir. Not a sausage.
Do you know anything about medieval manuscripts?
Not me, monsieur. I am no scholar, though people often mistake me for one. It is the uniform, I guess. They see the clothes. They are impressed.
And they ask you to park their cars?
They ask me to park the... No. They assume I am an authority on the exhibits in my care.
Whereas you know next to nothing about history.
Of course not. All I am saying is, I am no scholar. Not like Monsieur Lobineau.
Okay, so ask him about the tripod again.
What's the importance of John Dee's tripod?
Dee was the most famous escapologist of the 16th century. The Houdini of his time.
Don't you mean alchemist? Escapologists use ropes, chains, and handcuffs, not tripods.
Well, whatever he was, that is the tripod he used in his experiments.
Basically, we need to keep asking about it.
What kind of experiments did John Dee perform with his tripod?
Oh, the usual. Didn't you study chemistry at school?
Yeah, but we skipped over thaumatology. Can I take a closer look at the tripod?
What? Get it out of the case? Ah, no! That tripod is protected by a sophisticated surveillance system.
How sophisticated?
A painfully loud alarm bell.
How is the alarm?
By the slightest pressure on or movement of any part of the case wherein that tripod is situated.
It strikes me that to call your alarm system sophisticated is, well, stretching the truth a little.
It has never failed yet. The sophistication is in its simplicity.
Okay, so we know about the alarm
Thanks
system and
for your
stuff.
help.
That's pretty much all we can do in here. Since the tripod's from Ireland, that's pretty much where we're going to have to end up going.
Eh, no! No, monsieur. No.
So obviously can't
What's
just
wrong?
touch it.
You must not handle the exhibits.
I'm
Like
sorry.
that was a given. So that's us. And a good point to finish up as well. It just means we have to leave this area.
The tripod was definitely the one on the manuscript. The Templar connection confirmed it. I was tempted to go to Ireland to check it out.
Which is exactly what we're going to do in the next episode. Really good point to cut it off there, so I'm going to do so. I've been Keric Capali. This has been Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. You have a good evening now.